Hi, Davi here, and today we have a new episode in the art review series. And today we'll be checking out the work of Odurumatio, or let's translate it, Hachinuki or Yatsukan Tetsuyo. I'm not even sure what their name is, but whoever this artist is, we're going to be reviewing their work. Now, I did mention this artist briefly just because the artist we reviewed yesterday or in the last episode named Hoya, that artist did like a quick fan art piece of like this specific character. Like you could tell just by the eyes, and they did link like the page of Tetsuyo. We'll just say Tetsuyo or Hachinuki. How about the Hachinuki? Hachinuki. And yeah, I do like their drawing style. It's very direct. And if we open the image, right? If we zoom in, you do see like a lot of bleeds in their work. It's almost like they're using like a not just a fine point pen, but you'll see this a lot when the paper is so thin. So the ink just seems to bleed a lot more. Let me just show you. Okay, all of these sorts of like spots over here, right? Like the end points of the ink, even when they're doing this dashy line, the end points are always like bleeding. Right? Like they're very sort of quick sort of marks. So I think it adds to that very sort of not gritty, but maybe just quick, kind of sketchy look. But at the same time, even though it has that vibe, it still looks very presentable. And I think like it looks like a legit page because it is a legit page in like a manga. I mean, look at how simplified, I guess, or not as tight the hands are. And look at how some parts are not even meeting. It's almost like suggested. Like it looks rushed, but obviously it's correct, or it looks correct enough to make it make sense. But it does have that sketched or rushed feeling, but it still looks good. And I think it's because number one, the drawing itself is already good. So even the base, the proportions, they're okay, or they're awesome. So there's that. But the halftones, I think, really bring it away, or the grayscale sort of phase where they add like the different values. They do focus more on like the composition first via the drawing, and then they'll do another layer or another phase where they focus on the lighting, and that's where they shade the drawing. Um, Not necessarily with lines anymore. It's really the grayscale that's in halftones or in the halftone effect. Now, when they do their black fill-ins, it's not that much. Maybe they'll do a shadow, but it's very minimal. For the hair, they do like silhouetting it, meaning they don't like, or they typically don't draw like each major like strand. It's sort of one big shape, and then they do like these white lines over those or this big sort of black shape or silhouette. And I think it's a great way to save time too when you're doing a lot of pages. So let me just focus on this guy. Let me make this guy bigger. There you go. So look at how there was no sketch. It's very direct, just black on white canvas. They did use, I think, the lasso fill tool to pretty much fill in those large chunks of hair. They did leave some white for the reflective areas. They did draw the eye. I do like the way they draw the eyes for this specific character. They always like making her eyes a little simple compared to the other characters. They're usually like fleshed out, but I think it's part of the design. It's kind of iconic because her body basically is like very well drawn, or not well drawn, but it's just more fleshed out. But the eyes are very. It's almost like a different style sometimes. So I think it's cool, right? So they're drawing in inks, and they even erase that part of the hair. Look at how they're just drawing everything in either black or white in this phase, right? And then they're going back and forth, finding out what works, what doesn't work. And look at how, like this part right here, well, pretty much everywhere, but do you see how it's not even like super, like it's all like quick lines, right? And it's imperfect, but it's, I don't know, there's like energy in there, some hatching, and then some black fill-ins, and then now we have another phase where they're drawing white lines over the black sort of fill-ins for like highlights and stuff like that or details. And then this is their phase where they do the grayscale. And once they do the grayscale, I think they'll add a filter to do the halftones. Although for this one, they did add a bit of it's some kind of paper texture or something. Not necessarily a halftone, but it's still like a grayscale sort of thing, right? So they have the drawing sort of composition phase first, and then they have a phase where they color, and their coloring is just really just grayscale. Same thing here, right? Pretty cool. And I think they're using a little bit of a soft brush, maybe sometimes, because I do see a soft sort of area right here, right? Let me just show you. Why is my line so jaggedy? Okay, right? So it's a halftone effect. You can do this in the layer properties, I think, in Clip Studio Paint. But to achieve this, they're using like a soft brush, and then the halftone sort of fades from that, right? And I think that's very cool because usually when I think, or the first time I saw halftones, I thought they were all going to be like super sharp edge or hard edged. But you can sort of have this fade out effect in Clip Studio Paint by just using a soft brush to do that. Now, if you go to the body here, look at how it's the sweater is mostly like a black silhouette, and then they drew like lines on top, or it feels like they did draw it first, but most of the like this whole thing is just in black, so it's almost like they're adding the lighter values later on. Although you can see it a little more, I guess, in this part where it's just one black silhouette and then some like indication for like the folds. You'll see it here as well. It's all just black. You even see like a little line over here to sort of separate the forearm from the actual upper arm. But yeah. And again, look at how you see a lot of bleeds. But I think when you add that with the halftone grayscale thing, it just looks... Because when you do the halftones, or when they do the halftones, they still like add highlights later on. And even the halftones, it's not like one grayscale value. They have like multiple values. Someone's gonna be lighter, someone's gonna be darker, and some like have like really sharp, hard edges, and some have soft edges. So it's almost like its own art form, right? So let's go back because they have so much work. Kind of like Hoya. I think for both of these artists, like when you see their work, you're gonna want to draw. Let me just zoom in here, right? And they do make the anatomy really like exaggerate. They're very good with fold as well, right? They just know where to like make it tight and everything. That's an extreme thigh gap, but it's kind of hot. Some highlights here and there. Again with the halftones. The hair is like again one big shape, and then some complementary like highlight detail lines on top of that. Some bleeds. But again, I think they're using their iPad for the most part. I'm not sure. So they have like two versions of the face. Pretty hot, right? When it comes to the line weight, I think they do have some shadow black fill-ins where it's there to indicate where the light is, or where light is not in. Because it's very common where wherever the light is not hitting, it's going to be a bit thicker. So if the light source is coming from here, you draw the thicker line sort of below. Although in this case, you don't see it as much. It's actually more of the shadow of the sleeve here, the open sleeve, the shadow of the forearm hitting kind of the chest. And here is sort of, this one's more like the, where the light is here, and there's the line on the opposite side tends to be a bit thicker. Although this one is a bit thick as well. It's a rule of thumb. It's not like if you don't do it, it's gonna fail. It's one of those guidelines that just works. And adds a bit of a atmosphere or form. Ooh. Right? Again, the sweater is mostly in black, right? And then you add the white sort of details, fold suggestions on top of that. The halftones are there. And she always has her tongue out. Oh yeah. Again with the hair, big silhouette, and then some strands, but they're just lines really. But it's some highlights on the leg. I do like it when they add highlights, especially in like the thighs. It just makes it look more like wet or juicy. So I think that's pretty cool, right? And you will see a lot of these bleeds. I think they do it way more than other artists. And it does vary up like the line weight, you know? Let's just go down. They have so much work here. Look at this. Let me just zoom in. Look at that. Oh. So she's being carried by some mecha. So I think this is the guy or something, or some kind of creature, and then it transforms into like a really huge sort of mecha creature thing or insect. But again, that mix, grayscale, they're really good with like again the folds, especially in this area. Like jeans, they like drawing jeans a lot for some reason. A fetish? Okay, I don't know. Right? Even in this like looser, more gestural like sketches, you can tell they're having fun with like the folds, right? And a lot of their facial expressions are sort of like large or exaggerated. Oh, she's cute. Oh, they did add some halftone for the blush. Aside from the hatching, they did add like a soft brush with a halftone texture as an effect, right? Now this one, they do some seem more sketchier than others. But oh wow, look at this guy. Oh my god. Can we zoom in? Can we zoom in? Let's do this. Look at that. Oh. Again, look at the hair. Black shape for both characters, but you'll notice for the guy, the eye is a bit more normal. And the girl is almost always like this line with a dot, right? It's part of the character design, which I think is really cool. And obviously he's being like squished. And if you focus on the line work, lots of bleeds again. It's a really unique style. I haven't seen artists approach drawings this way. And it shows you that over time you're going to have and eventually develop your own method. Oh, different expressions. Right? Let me just go back. And once they do the halftones, they will add this sort of white spectacle thingies. They don't do it just for the hair, basically the white lines on top of the black hair silhouette, but also after they do the halftones, they will add these sorts of like things. So this one is like a scratchy, I think it's the same pen brush, right? But also for this part, they did add like a noise sort of effect to add like some highlights for the chest. And for some parts, I do see a little bit of a gradient. For example, this part of the tongue is darker than this part, so it sort of fades to dark or fades to light. So I think that's also achieved with like a gradient or a soft brush or airbrush. Let me just go back. Look at this. I do recommend to zoom in because you will see, again, with the jeans, with the sweater, and this is kind of hot too. Let me just do this. Look at, oh my god. I'm not sure if this is a page from their manga or it's like a quick sort of fan art of their own art. Basically a quick random sketch. And I like seeing this again with the face, the contrast of this character with the one on top. You can tell like just by the way they're being like drawn. Completely different personalities. You can tell by their facial expressions, what they're wearing. The one at the bottom seems more diva-ish. Lots of like earrings, clips, heart stuff. The hair is tied a lot. More girly, if that's a word, or more Gyaru-esque. But the one on top is more like tomboy-ish. Probably doesn't shower or something, which is hot to an extent. Yeah. Again with the white line, sort of like scratching out some of those halftones. It looks like it. But yeah, damn, she's kind of big. Okay, easy. Let's focus. All right. Look at the hands here. Pretty. Oh, okay. We can't zoom in that much, but the point. Oh, we have some soft brush here. Let's just show the soft brush, soft edge here, soft edge here. So they're using like they'll lasso it first, maybe, and then they'll use a soft brush within that selection, or they'll do a soft brush on this area and then they'll erase the edge. That could also work, but the point is there are halftone areas with like soft edges, right? And you have some areas where it's more of a hard edge, you know? There you go. But look at the hands. Are they so like tight? It looks kind of wonky, if you could say that, but it's, it works. Sometimes it's about the emotion and less about the perfection. Oh, genius. I do like the facial expression here. He's being squished by her humongous thighs, right? Oh, there you go. And the calves are they're kind of big. Very exaggerated, but I like it. Oh, look at that. And I do like the way they draw the mouth too. Look at this one. Look at this. Look at this guy. Christ almighty. Ooh. Right? Those bleeds. Like I feel like it's easier to read pages like this because you're not focusing too much on the details, and that's kind of the advantage of being a bit quick. Is you're more inclined to think about the big picture rather than, because if something is too like detailed, you'll want to zoom in and just see what's going on. But for pieces like this, oh, I love the belly. Very hot. It's more about the energy, the quickness, like what's going. Like you want to flip to the next page. You're enjoying the artwork too, but the artwork works well with other following pages. You know, right? Even if you don't do manga, for example, if you look at an artist's like portfolio or media sort of tab, say on X or Twitter, like if they have a lot of sketches like this, it makes you want to keep scrolling and scrolling because they have so much like stuff. Now, if most of their work is like super tight, super finished, you want to like actually click the image and zoom in, but you're less likely to constantly want to scroll because you're like focused on one image at a time. But yeah, look at how the anatomy sometimes is like so like exaggerated, but it works. And that's kind of the cool thing about art is you don't have to be as I mean you do need some fundamentals for it to sort of make sense, but you don't need much. That belly looks so good too. Oh, I love the fat. Like it's actually easier to draw it like to just make the contour lines kind of like straight, but when you start to draw fat, it is a bit more difficult because I mean, yeah, it's worth it, but it's a bit difficult because there's so much nuance, like how the fat moves around, how especially when it's like being squished or something. But once you do accomplish it, it's like so freaking hot, you know. I'm not sure what the fetish is called. Is it a pouch fetish? Is where women have this like pouch or it's their uterus basically. I think this sort of like area right here. Let me just show you. Can I open it in the new tab? Oh my god. Like this area over here. Like this is where the fetish is kind of, and in a way it's kind of like a pillow. I mean, the thighs can be pillows too, right? So you want your head to be sort of in between here as well. So you have like one pillow here, but you can also go for a third one, and that's gonna be like this, especially the bottom half, because that's where like most of the fat sort of is. So this is where the good stuff is, right? I mean the thigh, the love handles are great too, but it's like this is where. Oh my. Okay, let's just explore their work more. Oh, look at those. Oh, we have a guy. Usually they. Oh, I think it's a self portrait or something. I don't know. Let's just see. I think it's them. So maybe he's a smoker, typical like artist, sort of like, you know. Oh, look at them dogs. There you go. So they know how to draw some dogs. Sorry, my hat hit the microphone. It was my hat, by the way. My hat. Oh my god. Okay. Those bleeds look so nice. It looks kind of Sumi esque as well. You know how you draw with like this really big sort of watery ink brush. It's really just because of those bleeds that it really gives out that vibe. Again, the variety of edges or hard versus soft edges, even or when you're doing the halftones. Some slight gradient over here in the shoulder. I've noticed the shoulder sometimes they'll make it a bit darker, or if they add color, it's like red. I'm not sure why. Does blood concentrate on the shoulder? It does make it look kind of like cute or kawaii. Same thing for the knees, for the tips of the fingers, cheeks, right? Again, tongue out. Oh no. Nice legs, nice thighs, nice calves. Again with the white thing here. Look at that. They sort of scratched it. It's basically like a paint over, but it looks sort of scratched out with like an X knife or something, or a cutter. When you're doing things traditionally, anyway, look at this. Oh, it's kind of fat too. Okay, stop. Let's focus on the real things. Oh, look at that. I'm not sure. Wait, where's the? Are they wearing slippers? Let me just zoom out. Sometimes it's hard to see when you're zoomed in. Let me just zoom out. I think they're wearing some kind of slippers because their toes are all out. So I'm not sure what the black thing is. Maybe they're socks that have been broken or something. But the point is, oh, the hands are so huge too. But are they perfect? Like, look at the contours. It's sort of suggestive, but you get the vibes for as long as you know where the general direction of the fingers are and where the nails are. I think you're pretty much done. Same thing here. Just indicate where some of the nails are. It shows you where the end of the toes obviously will end. And then some indication of the knuckles or where things fold more or less. And that's kind of enough. This may be my favorite piece. Or one of my favorite pieces. Now this one is mostly in grayscale. Lots of like dark values here. Oh, it's taking a while to load for some reason. Again, with like the white highlight. It's sort of like brushy too. It's almost like paint, like splatter, where you just sort of do that kind of thing. So way more here, definitely way more artwork to see. I think it's mostly focusing. Damn, I love the hands too. Look at that. Those thighs that are so like freaking chunky. Same thing for the torso. Like you can even feel the ribs sort of and this fat area over here, the abdomen, and then it's sort of meeting with this other chunk like your hips, I guess. Very nice. Oh, look at this. I'm not sure if she's from the same world, but she is of the thick descent, I guess. Okay, let's stop. Oh, look at I'm not sure if that's a mirror. Maybe it is. Although it may be a different version of her. So maybe during the day, she's like a schoolgirl. It looks like it. I can see a little bit of a uniform maybe. But you're seeing her real self. And that's her like... Is it insidious or nefarious or just naughty sort of side? Like devilish. Oh, sort of side. Look at the way the abdomen was rendered. Now this one does have way more values. Basically, it's not one halftone like value. Like basically, there are levels. Let me just show you. You have one value for the whole thing, but it's sort of breaking down into like this part, right? And you still have a gray here, but it's way lighter. This one is just white. So you could sort of render things or paint with halftones this way. So it's their version of rendering in like manga style sorts of artwork. Very cool. I do like it. Or you can just leave it as a flat thing. But they did want to spend the extra time to just, flesh out a bit of that. It will add way more form, obviously, to your 2D drawings. And you can tell they just wanted to do that just because it just makes sense. Oh, look at this line over here. And how the bend, like the arcing of the back a little bit, and a good amount of like fat is like everything is just like holdable. Okay. I'm gonna stop. So I recommend you check out the work. If you really like the last video about drawing, because I think the last artist, Hoya, is very similar to Hachuki, or this art. Oh, what's her name again? Odoromatio or Hachinuki or Yatsukan Tetsuya, because they're both like, their drawings just make you want to draw as well. So yeah, I will link this page in the description below, and hopefully you enjoyed their artwork. Nice tongue too. Imagine if this artist did some like doujin. I'm not sure if it's like, the hentai type of stuff. Unstoppable. So yeah, I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.